Hello, and welcome to the Office of the Patriot, where we try to make sense out of the nonsense of the progressive left and rhino right. I'm your host, Myron Ybarra.
And I'm your co-host, Angry Mike.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the walls to prevent Trump from enacting his campaign promises are popping up from all corners of the swamp. I used to think the swamp was primarily a DC phenomenon, but in fact, the swamp is much like a virus. It originated in DC, and that's where its strength lies, but it has metastasized through all levels and types of government. So, in this episode of Office of the Patriot, we're going to attempt to inoculate each of the infected areas with the vaccine of truth in hopes of helping President Trump heal America and make it great again. The number one issue that most Americans expressed leading up to the day of the election was illegal immigration, and it's easy to see why. Illegal immigration is much of the cause of some of the other issues that the United States and Americans are facing today, like inflation, public safety, and access to public services. All of these things have been adversely affected for all Americans. Unfortunately, some of the hardest hit are the Americans who are living in the inner cities. I mean, it's not like you grow a garden or have a hen house on the 37th floor of your 900 square foot tenement apartment. So it's no surprise that many people, or many of these people who voted for Democrats in the past, voted for Donald Trump in this election in hopes of fixing the years of government mismanagement that the Democrats and rhinos are responsible for. But as I said in the beginning, the swamp is a virus, and viruses do not leave the body without a fight. So, in the first video, you're going to see a number of, in my opinion, outlaw governors, mayors, and bureaucratic officials who have pledged to maintain their state's sanctuary status despite President Trump's legal and lawful deportation proceedings. Take a look.
We, of course, are deeply concerned about, the President of the United States calling out military inside the United States, where people are peaceful, even if there may be people who are undocumented.
What will Boston's response be if these mass deportations take place?
Yeah, look, elections have consequences, and the federal government is responsible for a certain set of actions, and no individual city can reverse or override some parts of that. But what we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear. And
so we are doubling down on who we are, what we stand for, our values, our people, our progress, fighting for our future. And we're going to have the resources ready to fight in court, push back, punch back, fight back as necessary if the Trump administration gets in the way.
So, as you know, in the closing weeks, months of his campaign, Donald Trump made it very clear that a top priority of his is mass deportation. Yesterday, when he was talking to our Kristen Welker, it was what he spoke about most. What is your level of concern about what might happen, and how are you preparing for it?
Of course, we're very concerned. We're not surprised. From in Trump 1.0, he had the same intentions. We fought back and pushed back. We pushed back against a DACA rollback. We pushed back against a public charge rule. We pushed back against other efforts on his part to take on our immigrants and hurt and harm them, including trying to withhold money from so-called sanctuary cities. So we've been thinking about preparing, strategizing about how to support and uplift and protect our immigrants in California for months. Hoping that this time wouldn't come, but knowing that it might, not able to guarantee that it wouldn't. And so now it's here and we're ready. We're prepared. We have a plan. He has projected what he will do through his own articulated statements, those close to him, Project 2025, and we are ready to respond as appropriate. And so to our immigrant communities, I say, I see you. I value you. We will fight for you. I will fight for you. Do everything in our power to make sure we push back against the Trump administration's plans.
As you can see, many of these Democratic governors make no bones about preventing Donald Trump from carrying out mass deportation of illegal aliens. Some of the ways they plan on doing this is preventing local and state law enforcement from assisting in the arrest and detention processes and refusing to provide intelligence information that will help ICE agents locate and apprehend illegal aliens. As a side note, this was one of our responsibilities as parole agents for the California Division of Adult Parole Operations. When I had an illegal alien inmate that was due to parole and then going to be placed on my caseload, within 90 days of their release, we would forward their INS number to an ICE agent who would put a detainer on the inmate prior to their release. And this would prevent the inmate from being released to parole. ICE agents would go to that institution, they would collect the inmate, and then transport them to an ICE detention center for deportation proceedings. And back then, it was a really smooth process until California decided that it didn't want to assist the federal government in dealing with deporting criminal illegal aliens. So, parole agents were forbidden from making those ICE referrals, and this was shortly after my retirement. I could make the argument, actually pretty easily, that by not giving that information to ICE, they are putting ICE agents in avoidable danger, and that's illegal under 18 U.S. Code 111, also known as endangering a federal police officer. Not to mention the fact that harboring an illegal alien is violation of 8 U.S. Code 1324 III, and that's exactly what sanctuary states and cities are doing by not cooperating with federal law enforcement in their deportation processes. It's my hope that Mr. Homan enforces both of these statutes to the letter of the law. Essentially, fuck around and find out situations. Now, Trump and his border czar pick, Tom Homan, have a couple of tricks up their sleeve to deal with crockpot governors and local mayors and bureaucrats who won't do their damn job. Trump is planning on using the United States military to capture and detain these illegal aliens, and Mr. Homan has suggested that he will just send more agents to the areas where he's not receiving local and state assistance. Basically, the work is going to get done whether or not the Democrat leaders want it done or not. Mike?
Absolutely. I have a lot of ideas, and most of which are probably not feasible since they would be illegal and it would make the libtards' minds explode. But I honestly believe that we need to get back to just the basics of law and order. Enforce the friggin' law. It should be a no-brainer. But, our friends on the left, they're pretty thick in the head. So it's going to be a hell of a fight to get, any of them to cooperate with us. Luckily, the Republicans, I think, they've sent a pretty clear signal that they have a mandate from the majority of Americans who want law and order back again. And that includes on the issue of illegal immigration. So I was really pissed off when I heard, Greasy Gavin Newsom and several other of these libtard governors speaking out that we will not comply and we're going to fight, all of Trump's policies, including not complying with, basically federal law. And then, like you said, when I heard, border czar or the nominee for border czar, he will be confirmed for sure. But Tom Homan, he spoke out. And what he's planning to do is quite simple. He's just going to flood the Democrat sanctuary cities with ICE agents, double, triple if necessary. So, fight all they want, but that's going to happen. And if I were Trump, I would absolutely go to war against these childless assholes. I'm talking about the governors, and I probably use whatever tools were at my disposal because it's basically a war. So they want a war. And he's going to be forced to fight them no matter what. So if he hopes to make his policy successful and make good on his campaign promises, he's going to have to make it very difficult for many of these governors by doing what he does best. And that, in my opinion, that's, flooding social media, flooding broadcast media, using the bully pulpit to call them out over and over and over again, and just, turn public support against them. So it'll make that, that aspect even more difficult for the governors. But I hope he can also withhold federal funding in order to make the states comply. I think just the pressure of the governors that will be put under when Trump and all the victims of the people who have been hurt, raped, murdered, families of loved ones who have overdosed and died because of illegal immigration and the drug smuggling. That's going to be a massive pressure campaign, and it's going to rein in all of the childish governors that are throwing their temper tantrums.
Exactly. Under most circumstances, I would agree that the pressure campaign via the Trump administration would get things in order. But I think we're beyond that now. In my opinion, the Democrat Party is too far gone. Another area that the swamp is using to hurt Trump is through his cabinet picks. And they're all very polarizing selections by Trump, partially because we've actually had a very shitty administration for the last 4 years, and all of the people that were selected appear to be not only equipped to do the job, but energized to do it. So you have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy heading up the newly christened Department of Government Efficiency, and the previously mentioned Tom Homan as the border czar. And then you have RFK Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and Pete Hegseth as the Defense Secretary, and obviously one that seems to be causing the most angst and anger among the swamp monsters, Matt Gaetz as the United States Attorney General. Some of these people do not need a Senate confirmation to assume these positions. However, most do. But unfortunately, the Senate goes in and out of session a lot during this time of year, partially because the holidays and partially because they're fucking lazy. So Trump has requested the ability to appoint his selections if and when the Senate is in recess. And this is not an uncommon practice. In fact, virtually every single president before him has done the exact same thing. And that's where the problem is. Because the DC swamp monsters have made it clear that they do not plan on confirming most, if not all, of Trump's cabinet selections. In fact, the king rhino of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has indicated that he will not support recess appointments of Trump's cabinet selections. And here I have Mitch discussing this in a press conference.
That's right.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny. Yep.
Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
Oh, sorry. Mitch isn't available right now. If you leave your name, your number, and a very brief message, you'll be lucky to hear back from him. In all seriousness, folks, Mitch McConnell actually tweeted that he would not support recess appointments of Trump's cabinet selections, and then he proceeded to delete that tweet once the ire of conservatives was made known. But really, it doesn't fall to him anyway. It falls to the new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune. And in this next video, you'll see Senator Thune give an atypical political response to a very straightforward question.
For recess appointments.
Well, what I said is, Brett, and I think this is that all options are on the table, including recess appointments. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but we'll find out fairly quickly whether the Democrats want to play ball or not. And I think part of it is getting these folks. We'll start having confirmation hearings as soon as the new Senate is sworn in January. President takes the oath of office January 20th. By the time he takes the oath of office, hopefully a lot of those nominees will be through their confirmation hearings and will be ready to act on them on the Senate floor. And then it's a question of how much do the Democrats resist or object or try to block those nominations from going forward. And we're going to grind them out. I mean, we're just going to keep consistently moving, and we'll see what kind of cooperation we get. And then we'll, like I said, we'll make decisions about where do we go from there.
Me personally, I think Thune's win as Senate Majority Leader was a concerted effort by rhinos within the Senate to stall Trump. It's no secret that Thune and Trump did not see eye to eye up until recently where they had a meeting and then publicly appeared to bury the hatchet. But I believe there's still animus there, which is why I think Thune isn't going to make a big push to confirm Trump's selections. When you have rhinos like him and McConnell and Murkowski poisoning the well, even before the confirmation hearings take place, it's going to be hard to push to get these people confirmed, which is why Trump is really pushing for the recess confirmations. That said, it's not likely that the Senate is going to go into recess anyway, because the Senate has to vote on going into recess. And if you just voted to not confirm Trump's selection and then vote to go into recess, you not only nullify your vote, but now you have to go back to your constituency and explain to them why you decided that you were going to stop the Trump administration from doing the job they were sent to do. Probably not a good position to be in if you were hoping for re-election in the next couple of years. Mike?
Yeah, exactly. I honestly love all of his picks. I think he purposely selected several of them as a big, to the establishment scumbags, and a message that he intends to crack some skulls this time. He's not going to play, softball like he's not going to play nice like he did the first time around. He knows what he's up against. So my personal favorite is the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence. So we both remember when she was the Democrat, one of the Democrat nominees, throwing her hat in the ring, and they were doing the debates. I think it was back in late 2019. And she publicly destroyed Kamala Harris in front of the entire world, just, humiliated her, really. And shortly after that, the Democrat Party establishment turned against her and started rumors that she was a Russian asset, as they always do. That's their favorite go-to. And they still claim to this day that, she's a Russian asset with absolutely no evidence. But I think the most impactful nomination, which will definitely be approved by the Senate without much difficulty, is Tom Homan that we were talking about earlier. So he's going to be the border czar. And I think he seems to be a bulldog, and he's laser focused on securing the border. He's got a lot of conviction, and we need to stop the bleeding. And it starts with basically hunting down illegals, especially the ones that pose the greatest threat, to our nation and, every citizen in the country. We got to hunt down the terrorists, the gang members, the tens of thousands who have criminal records. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's a substantial crime, they should be out of the country immediately. All the drug smugglers, and of course the human traffickers that we don't talk about that much, or at least doesn't get talked about enough by mass media. All of these scumbags will be gone quickly once he gets let off the chain.
Agreed. And I believe that the border and illegal immigration is going to be Trump's biggest fight during his tenure. In all, Trump has an uphill battle, even before his inauguration on January 20th, 2025. For not wanting a wall at our southern border, these commie bastards sure the hell have no problem putting up walls to prevent Trump from doing exactly what he said he was going to do at the start of his campaign. And the primary reason we elected him was because he committed to do those things. So, my suggestion to help out our president is that you put your cell phone to good use and contact your state senator and give them a piece of your mind. Let them know that you expect Trump's selections to be confirmed, or else their future as a state senator will be in jeopardy. Again, these people sometimes forget that they are supposed to be acting in the best interest of the people who put them there. And to help you do that, I've included a link to the congressional website to find your members in the description section below, again, along with all of the receipts for Trump's for today's presentation, Trump's presentation. Well, it is for him. Now, Trump does have a few things up his sleeve to get some of these people confirmed and also to enact what amounts to an Operation Roundup of all illegal aliens without going through the legislative process. And truthfully, I'm not a big fan of this, but sometimes the weak part of the body has to be bolstered by the strong part. And in this case, the weak part is the rhino and swamp-infested legislature. And if that's what it takes to heal America, then President Trump, you have our support. And this concludes today's episode of Office of the Patriot.
And as always, if you've enjoyed the presentation, please take some time to like, subscribe, and share the channel on your social media. It is very much appreciated.
Also, please take the time to comment. Viewer engagement via comments is a major metric for channel accessibility on most social media platforms like YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, and even Facebook. The more people that like and subscribe and comment, the more this channel will come up when social and political content like this is searched for. And as always, have a blessed day and stay safe out there.